everyone, and welcome back to the Weddings and Honeymoons podcast. Today, we're very lucky to be chatting with Charlotte Ricard-Quesada, who is an award-winning wedding planner based in London, but she plans weddings all around the world. So thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
We're delighted to have you.
Thank you.
So let's get started.
Yeah.
I just wanted to start by asking what inspired you to get into wedding planning and the story behind Lafette, your incredible wedding planning business.
Thank you. So basically, I set up Lafette in 2016, so 8 years ago now. Wow,
It's gone fast, yeah.
And before that, I was in fashion for about 8 years. I was a merchandiser in men's fashion, women's accessories, women's fashion, and whilst I was studying fashion merchandising, I lived in Florence, in Italy for a year. And during that year of living there, I interned with a wedding planner on evenings and weekends. It was compulsory to do so. It was one of those accelerated masters, so it was 9 months classes and then 3 months internship, and then that would give you your masters in a year. And I was able to negotiate with my course, if I work evenings and weekends throughout the 9 months, can we say that tallies up to the 3-month internship?
Oh, that's a good move.
Because I'd got to a stage, I was 21, turning 22. I just wanted to start work. I didn't want to, keep going from internship to internship and then it never turns into anything. I just wanted to finish my studies, get the job that I wanted and start my professional career. So I started that internship, loved it, obviously planning weddings in Tuscany and everything.
Amazing.
And always sort of thought, I kind of really like this. It could be, if plan A of fashion for some reason doesn't work out, I feel this could be a viable plan B. So I always kept that in the back of my mind. Always have been super organised, love planning, even in my private life. And so basically, after about 8 years in fashion, different brands, etc., I was made redundant from a role that I had been headhunted for. And so literally within 3 months, end of probation period, they sort of said, "I've got no more money." So I initially took it very, very personally, and then took a bit of time off and to sort of self-reflect, think, and I just thought to myself, I don't want to be in fashion anymore. I've loved it. It's taught me a great deal. It's prepared me for a lot of situations in life, but I don't have a mortgage. Don't have children, I don't have any dependencies right now. Maybe now is the time to go into events. I initially looked into working for somebody else, studying it, but at that time there was hardly anything. There were a few online courses, but it was nothing big. And I thought, okay, let's just go in the deep end. Let's just create my own business and let's see. And so 8 years later, here we are.
Exciting! It was meant to be.
I know.
So I wondered, what type of weddings do you plan? Do you have a particular style, or how does it work for you?
All types of different weddings. I like to say I prefer multicultural weddings, just because it's something that, being multicultural myself and in a multicultural relationship, I understand intrinsically. And to be fair, most of my couples that I attract are multicultural themselves, in multicultural relationships, multi-faith relationships. I think when we initially chat, they understand that I get them. I understand the difficulties of, he's French, she's American, they've got different ways of seeing things, and so the parents also have different ways of seeing things, and so finding that sort of balance. But I don't want to specialize into a niche group. There's so much variety out there, and every couple is different, whether it's, sexual orientation, religious beliefs, styles, whatever you can imagine. I love the fact that every single wedding is different. And I love the fact that there's never two weddings that are the same, ever.
Never.
Even if they're at the same venue, they'll never be the same. I'm not a cookie cutter kind of wedding planner. I don't, own my own props and this is what you get. And
so it's all bespoke,
every
and
time
personalised.
it's bespoke. Every time we go through the same process. We chat through what's your inspiration, what do you like, what do you not like, because that's often the most important question. And then we create bespoke mood boards and even bespoke catchphrases now to sort of capture the essence of the mood board.
I love that.
And then we work from that to get the adequate suppliers, venues, etc.
Amazing. And I hear that you can speak 4 languages as well.
Yeah.
So that helps with the multicultural side of things.
Yes, definitely. Helps with the multicultural side of things, but it also helps with when working abroad. So I have 2 mother tongues, French and English. I grew up in Geneva. My dad is French, my mum is English. But I also learned later on in life Spanish and Italian.
Just amazing. I wish I could.
I'm completely fluent in French, English and Spanish. My Italian has suffered a little because I don't practice it on a daily basis anymore, but understand absolutely everything.
Wow.
And it also means that obviously when dealing with suppliers in said countries, you get a lot more respect.
100%. And communication is key.
Yeah.
So.
And you also tend to get answers much quicker as well.
Yes. Oh, that really helps.
Much quicker.
So obviously wedding planning is not only styling and it's so much more. What are your thoughts on that? How do you bring sort of that element of the couple into your plans so it goes far beyond the styling?
Well, first of all, I always like to say that, when you have done a beautiful event and wedding, and I always put, for example, in the credits, planning and styling, because it's not styling. Yes, is making everything look pretty, and for me, it's obviously one job, but it is split into 2 elements. So the styling is the enjoyable part, the fun part, where you put pretty pictures together and you make a gorgeous mood board and you discuss the flowers and the vases and the underplates, and there's still a lot of research that goes into it and a lot of personal taste as well, and you having your personal taste but also trying to interpret the couple's personal taste and trying to go from the 3 things that they've told you or the 2 pictures that they've sent you via Instagram stories saying, oh, I really like that, but I don't like that. The planning aspect is crucial because it's even the base of the styling. So, once you've found the underplates that you like and the napkins that you like and the vases that you like, the planning kicks in straight away in that aspect with, okay, but so we want to spend as least as possible with transport getting it to the venue. So let's try and get it all from the same supplier if possible, or from 2 suppliers. What else can we get from those 2 suppliers so that transport is not, that plates are coming from this one, glasses are coming from this one, chairs are coming from this one. So it's trying to always keep that mindset of, okay, but it needs to be practical, it needs to work. Then obviously planning, it's the timeline of the day, it's sourcing the suppliers, it's making sure that everything runs to what the couple want, and keeping tabs on the budget, keeping, you're basically mummying a bit your clients and your suppliers and staying on top of everything. So yeah, the styling, I always see it as the styling is the very beginning and then the on the day.
Right, so like the inspiration and the final touches.
And then in between that, it's all planning, because it's all communicating, making sure that, the contracts are correct, making sure that the timelines are correct, making sure that everybody gets their schedule for the day, making sure that everybody turns up on the day. And, so it's, and also I'm a big believer in, if you find the right suppliers, let them have the mood boards as inspiration, but let them then be creative. They will give you so much more creativity and more of themselves if you give them that creative space. Whereas if you're on their back saying, oh no, but we said the roses would be a tone darker of peach. Yes. Is it really that important? No. It's, unless it's a big no-no that, it cannot be that tone of peach, fine. But let them have that creative freedom, because they will deliver so much more.
And they've done it so many times that they can offer their expertise and work with you all.
Also, I've put them forward for a reason, and then the couple have picked them for a reason. So let them do that. They are aesthetically in their business because of what they've done.
Oh, that's really interesting. It is all about logistics, but also those beautiful creative elements coming together.
Definitely.
The couple. So what would you say are the important aspects that couples should consider when they're planning their wedding?
First of all, budget. Be realistic. I mean, and you can't say it enough times. So many times I've been contacted by people, and, I get it. You're preparing your first wedding, maybe second wedding, third wedding. But for a lot of people, it's their first wedding, and you have a super long guest list, and you haven't really discussed the budget, because let's face it, it's, for a lot of people, it's a touchy subject. And, I get approached by a lot of people who tell me, we've got 30k and we're inviting 150 people. And you just want to say to them in the nicest way possible, I mean, even in your back garden, you can't do this.
It'll be difficult to achieve.
It's, gone are the days of the average UK wedding. I mean, I don't know what the stats are at the moment, but I'm sure you can make it work if you go down to your local pub and you do something quite simple. But, I get approached for people who see my work and who want like a full-on wedding with ceremony, cocktail, reception, dancing, bespoke elements. And it's just, I think there needs to be a little bit more being realistic. And whether it's, okay, well, our budget is 30k and that's what we have, but then maybe educate yourself a little bit more on what can I get for that? Am I being too ambitious? Am I going to disappoint myself because that's what I really want, but what I can afford is here? If this is what you really want and you've got a huge guest list, chop your guest list.
It's all about priorities.
Yeah. So it's like during COVID, a lot of clients that I had, they said, well, we've got to chop the guest list, etc. It's not going to be as pretty, it's not going to be as fun. I was like, look, chopping the guest list is one thing. If you're still comfortable with it, you still have the budget to do these insane flowers. So, and you'll still have your photos, you'll still have your elements. So go for the amazing floral display and throw more money at it. If that is what's really important for you and you're not going to redo a post-COVID wedding, then do what you wanted to do. You'll just have less people, but
they'll have a really high quality
Yeah,
experience, won't
exactly.
they? The food quality's better, the aesthetics are beautiful. No, it's got its merits as well.
But I think, budget is the big thing where people need to think about it more. And also, just don't be afraid to speak about it with your partner, with your parents, with whoever's going to be participating in the wedding budget. Because the sooner you sort that out, and the clearer that is, the sooner you can actually get stuff done for the wedding. Otherwise, it's always a bit murky, and it's like, well, we could have a bit more money, and it helps nobody, because then, everybody's like, okay, but is there more money or not? Because we need to know at this stage.
Yeah,
exactly.
That openness and honesty is so refreshing, and that leads on nicely to my next question, which was, how do you build trust with your couples?
I'm super honest with my couples. super honest. So I don't know if it's visible in the cameras, but I'm 8.5 months pregnant right now. So this is literally in 2 days I'm signing off for maternity. So for example, all of my couples that signed on for next year, or that signed with me once I knew I was pregnant, I told them straight away. Even though it was early stages of pregnancy, I told them anyway that I have a toddler, and I told them that I was pregnant, my due date, and if they were comfortable with me having a full 3-month hiatus once I've had the newborn, and then slowly coming back to it, and obviously explaining to them that, we're aiming, if we do work together, we're aiming to get all of the big jobs, big suppliers, everything booked before I go on maternity. So it'll be quite intense, and then very calm, and then we'll start working again. And all of my clients that are signed obviously were fine with it.
Amazing.
I did miss out on some clients because of it, and they did tell me so. Was I gutted? Yes. But, like I've said before, I would never have wanted somebody to sign a contract and then be told afterwards, oh, well, actually, I'm pregnant. I think honesty, I know it sounds cheesy, but honesty is the best policy.
It is.
And, in a relationship like this, where you're working so close together for somebody's big day, it's so personal, it's so important to couples. And, when I got married myself, I think it really hit home as to how much energy and attention from the couple goes into their wedding day. It is literally the most important day of their lives at that stage in their lives. And there's the pressure from the families, there's the pressure from the friends, there's the pressure of everything, the pressure you put on yourself. Also, if you've been in a relationship for a long time, this has been a long time coming. So it's a lot, and they want to make sure that you're there, and you're there to help them, and you're there to support them. And so, I think you have to trust, and you also have to like each other. When we have those initial Zoom calls, I always reserve the right to think, it's not the right fit.
Right.
I would yes, fine, when we all started out the business, we all took clients that we knew weren't the right fit, but we took them because we're starting out a business.
You
We've
were
got to get business in. But as you become more established, and as you have experience of people as well, I think you also just have to be, it's a question of respect, of saying, you know what, your wedding sounds fab. I don't think I'm the right person for you. I can recommend that person, this person. We're a great industry, and we're a very diverse industry as well. we all do different things. Some people do niche things, some people do more generic things. And I think it's just a question of taking that honesty to the next level of saying, I don't think I'm right for you. And they only appreciate you more for it.
That's amazing, actually.
And, you know, they'll say, okay, thank you so much. I will definitely recommend you for other people. And, you know...
It will come back.
Yeah. But I just think, you know, in a services industry like this, your reputation is everything.
You are your own brand,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. So if you... I always treat people the way I want to be treated. I'd never want to be cheated. I'd never want to feel cheated. Why would I do that to somebody if I don't want to be treated that way? No.
Oh, that's good. So what is your favourite part about wedding planning? Is it the styling? Is it the logistics? What is your favourite?
I love everything, but I'll be honest, going to sleep the night of the wedding is always the best sleep I get. Because it's been delivered, you've said bye-bye to your couple, they've, in my case always, let's not jinx it, touch wood, been happy, thrilled, thanked me, and, you know, you go to bed on such a high, and 90% of the cases I then wake up the next morning and I've got a little text message from my couple saying,
that's lovely.
thank you so much, it was way beyond expectations, you blew us away, or whatever they say. And for me, that thank you, that genuine thank you moment is worth everything. On the day, you know, there's so many different points in the wedding that I love doing mood boards. I love doing mood boards. It can also get a bit long sometimes, but if I'm in the right frame of mind, I really enjoy doing them. And again, it's when the bride or the groom gets back to you and says, it's perfect, it's exactly what... I think it's the recognition and the relationship that you build with your clients that's my favourite part. You know, when you start to... All of the logistics, yes, it's great and it's part of it, but when you see the wedding come to life and you see the setup happening and you pop into the bridal suite and you see them getting ready and, you know, you see that excitement building up and, you know, it's just that whole sort of prep of it coming to life, what you've been working on for a year, 2 years, etc. The actual on the day of the wedding happening, for me, it just turns into a minute by minute list of just checking. Okay, yep, that's ticked off. Yep, that's ticked off. Okay, we're running 5 minutes late with this. Where can we recuperate those 5 minutes? Okay, let me speak with the band. Let's see if we can like shave a song off to like get back those 5 minutes. So it's that part, you don't have the mental space to enjoy anything. You're so focused on what is happening, making sure you don't overrun too much, because then the consequences are on everything.
Because you're sort of taking away that pressure from the couple. That's what you're doing on the day, so that they can almost enjoy their event as a guest, because that's what they built up towards for this amazing day that they'll remember forever. So your role is so crucial for creating that memory that will last a lifetime.
I mean, you have to think, even for my own wedding, I had a wedding planner. Because I initially went into it being like, oh, I'm going to plan my own wedding, boop, boop. And then my husband and my father said to me, look, we know you're good at what you do, but don't be stupid. Get a wedding planner. Fine, you can be in charge of styling and like really leading the styling more than a normal bride would, but if there's a plug socket on the morning of the wedding that doesn't work, you are not going to be dealing with it. Yeah. You are not going to be dealing with the neighbour that is complaining about the sound being too loud. You know,
thinking about
all
that.
of a sudden, I just sort of thought, okay, yeah, true. I don't want to deal with all of that.
It's these little things that couples might forget that are so might take over your whole thoughts when you're on the day itself. So you need to sort of take that away, and someone else will be behind the scenes making sure nothing's going on.
To be fair, the thing is that when you book a wedding planner, whether it's a wedding planner for the whole process like what I do, or an on-the-day planner, we are problem solvers. That's our main job, right? If it's throughout the process, like an A to Z, like what I do, we solve your problems throughout the whole process. We check contracts for you. We check that, you're paying the right amount. We source different options of suppliers. So we really try and make it so that your wedding planning journey is super enjoyable, saying yes to quotes and saying, oh yes, I want these flowers, not that, turning up to the tasting. And obviously you've still got some difficult decisions to make, because you need to pick sometimes between two quotes, or you need to, face the reality of actually the cake you want, this is the price for it, it's not lower. But it's not painful in the sense of I've had to spend 6 weeks searching for a wedding venue. No, that's my job to do that and present you with a sheet of options. And on that sheet there is distance from the nearest airport, number of accommodations, specialised catering if need be, fee for X number of people, and also, if it doesn't fit the amount of people that you have coming, then it's not even on the list. And then you can sift through that list of 30, 40, 50 venues, and then we do another round, and then we contact them, and
So a lot of people find decision making really difficult, and I think that's when a wedding planner does really come in handy. So when you have a couple who comes in and says, we want to get married but we don't know where to start, how do you start? Where's the beginning?
It's always funny because it's either those ones or we've got a date, we've got a venue, and now we need your help. So where do you start? First of all, is there a specific date? Oftentimes there might not be a specific date, but there'll be contingencies to take into consideration, people's diaries, school holidays sometimes, and so, or at least times of the year.
Yeah, seasons.
Exactly. Then the next question is, do you know where? Sometimes people, well, it can't be too far from home. Okay, what's far from home? And then so you start to whittle that down. Or, well, I'm from here, he's from there, we live here, so everybody's going to have to travel in wherever we go. So, but we love the beach, or we love the mountain, or we love Italian food. And so you just start to take things like that. I had a couple last year contact me who said they love the Mediterranean. And I was like, okay. That is broad. So obviously there's a lot of countries in the Mediterranean. Are we talking more European side of the Mediterranean? Like, let's go step by step. Oh yes, definitely European. Okay, great. Because for travel it's much easier. Because otherwise going to Libya could be complicated. Right, so Northern Mediterranean, great. Is there any particular food that you prefer? You've got Spanish, Italian, French, Greek, Croatian, Maltese, Cypriot. Like, what are we talking? Oh no, definitely more Spanish, Italian, French. Okay, so right.
Down.
What do you like about the Mediterranean? Is it the beaches? Is it the countryside? Is it the mountains? Is it the cities? Oh no, definitely more the beaches and the countryside. Okay, great. So then it was starting to, and then it was like, okay, everything would need to be within an hour and a half from an international airport. Okay, so then it starts to become, and then based on those criteria, then, you know, I put together a list. I think I put together 10 or 15 venues in Spain, in Italy, and in France. And then based on those, they were able to see, oh, well, it's looking as if France, that area may be a lot cheaper and within our budget, rather than, so, you know, you can start with a broad idea, but then it's for us to fish for those questions and fish for those answers, to be like, okay, but this is very broad. This is okay. Let's dig a bit deeper. What do you like? What do you not want? And then you sort of get to it. And I think those are the two main things. Afterwards, it's all the usual questions, and it just flows through. Once you have your date and your venue, it then becomes very easy.
That's the most important bits to start with. Oh, fantastic. So some aspects couples might not necessarily consider, but that are very important. What are those elements that you would recommend that they do start thinking about early on?
I think, do you want children at your wedding or not?
Good point. Yeah.
It's a big one, and I still see it with not just my clients, but also my friends that are getting married.
Yeah.
Because we're now of an age where a lot of us have children, but equally a lot still don't. And so it's one of those, if we allow 1 or 2 children, all of a sudden it's 30 children, and that's a bit much. But, you know, because financially as well, inviting children to a wedding they still need to eat, or you still need to provide, you know, children. I will say, with children going to weddings, there is a huge amount of amazing companies out there now that do wedding childcare or event childcare. It never used to be a thing. There are now some amazing companies in the UK, but that also travel abroad. And it's more than just the local babysitter who's come round to look after the kids. Like, they actually set up areas and fun play areas and stuff. So if you do want to include children in a wedding, it's very easy to do it now properly, rather than just buying 6 or 7 colouring books and being like, go play. But I think that is a big one, and it's one that tortures people as well, because they're like, but I have a niece and nephew.
Oh, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yes, but you know what? The easiest thing to do, and I always say this to couples, is if you have direct family members and those kids are going to play a role in the wedding, then they're entitled to be there. The thing is, you just need to make a decision on, they're playing a role, and then they're being swept away by the nanny or the company that you've hired to look after them, or grandparents, or whoever. You know, my daughter, who will be 2 in Feb, she has been asked to be a flower girl at a wedding next year of our friends. And they said to us, look, we'd love her to be a flower girl, but we want you to enjoy the wedding. We don't want you to be, you know, like, oh, it's late and bedtime and stuff. And so they were like, have a think about it. And we said, fine, it's in Spain where my in-laws live. So we said, okay, we'll come to the church with her, and then we'll have my in-laws ready at the end of the church service to whisk her away. They'll then look after her for the afternoon and evening. We'll have a great time. So I can be proud mummy in the church, and then have a blast of a time not being mummy. And little one, he'll be staying here in the UK with my mum. So that it's sort of like making it easier for both sets of grandparents, 1 each. But, you know, I think things like that, things that you think may be difficult. So, you know, sometimes if it's recomposed families, if, you know, the bride or the groom, or bride and bride, groom and groom, or let's say couple, if the couple their own parents split up, have remarried, and that, you know, they're not speaking or things like that. Those are things to take into account. I think the earlier you think of those things, the better, because it can get quite uncomfortable if you not only haven't thought about it, but if you do have a wedding planner, please, 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 please tell us as soon as possible, because we'll then take it into account for transport, for table plans, for photo ops, because there's nothing more awkward than having two ex-spouses in the same family photo
who don't want to be near each other,
who don't even want to be in the same photograph because they know that they will never ever ever use that photograph, or if they do, they'll chop each other off. So just things like that. If there's anybody in your wedding party that has access difficulties, you know, think about those things before you book the venue, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult. So just all those little things that you maybe wouldn't think of, just bring them up. Maybe some aren't that important, but it's always worth saying too much than not enough.
Yes, those are really helpful pointers, because all of those things you mentioned, they do actually come into play quite early on when you're giving out the invites, and those little things are actually shouldn't be underestimated, really. No. So that's great. As we draw our wonderful podcast to a close, I just wanted to have a chat about the trends you're seeing at the moment and movements in the wedding world. Have a little chat about that.
Definitely one trend that I'm loving, and that I did a little bit use this summer, is different table shapes.
Ooh,
oh my god,
nice.
I'm loving. No more round, no more long rectangular. We did this summer at Banqueting House, we did a huge X table.
Oh wow.
In the middle of the room. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yes, it was
so people
very
meet in the middle
cool.
as they come.
So it was a big X table. It was two. Oh, that's easier to do it rather than trying to do this. I feel like X-Men. So big X table, and so it was only 65 guests. So it was a lovely way to occupy such a big space like Banqueting House. We obviously had mirrored tables because of the ceiling.
Oh, which has the amazing paintings.
Exactly. And then what we did was we had really high floral arrangements. So it looked like gypsophilia clouds.
Wow.
And then in the middle, they built a huge fake tree that looked like a gypsophilia tree.
Ooh,
so it was like
goosebumps.
feeding onto the clouds.
Incredible.
And I remember the bride initially said that she wanted to do a table in the shape of their initials.
Oh wow.
So
quite adventurous.
Yes. So basically it was inspired from when Travis Barker asked Kourtney Kardashian to marry him on the beach. You know, there was the T and K roses. And she's, because they were K and J. And so she was like, oh my God, can we make that work? Where it's the J and the K sort of feeds into the J. We looked into it. The quotes were
quite difficult to do.
Huge. And so we said, okay, maybe not.
Yeah.
But we said we really wanted like a really amazing shape, because we wanted to have sort of pictures from above.
Because is there a gallery there?
Yes,
you
there
can
is.
Look down.
Only photographers are allowed upstairs,
Right.
though. So nobody else is, because it's all for the lighting and everything. But I mean, the pictures, I haven't seen them
I'd
yet.
love
They're
to see
they're
those.
due to come out anytime soon. I can't wait. But I think table shapes are a big thing. I'm seeing more and more sort of serpent tables as well.
Sort of wave light.
Which are really cool.
Nice.
And then sort of elongated circular shapes. So I'm really excited about that kind of stuff. I feel it's pushing the boundaries of how to use the spaces more. I think I don't know whether venues will be that excited about them, because obviously it cuts the numbers of people that you can have in a venue. I'm also really excited about the fact that entertainment at weddings is becoming more and more of a bigger trend of, yes, you have great music, but there's so much more you can do at weddings. You know, you can have entertainers, magicians, you can have, you know, more even musical entertainment, but more variety of it happening as well. And then in terms of other trends, I mean, it's always that thing of like each wedding is different anyway. I don't like full on like, oh, let's all do barn weddings with bunting again. And, you know, that's done. I think everybody's so individual at the moment, and that is enhanced and championed, and I think that should be the way to go. And I think probably that is the essence of where more unique table shapes has come from. And, you know, also the availability to have more unique chair rentals, and it's much more accessible now to have these more unique pieces, whereas before you really had to search for them, get them imported, etc.
They're more expensive.
Yeah, so I mean they're still more expensive, but if you want that look, it's really, really cool. It's really worth it.
Wow. Oh, I'm really looking forward to seeing these images. And then projecting into 2023.
Yes.
Do you think any of these trends are here to stay, or are you seeing new things emerging? What do you predict for next year?
I predict I'll be on maternity leave for the first bit.
Of course.
I think the new shapes and the new layouts is probably here to stay, and I think it's a direct effect of also post-COVID of how we've rethought spaces and venues. So I think that's definitely one that'll here to stay but continue adapting. I think also the rhythm of weddings in terms of food is changing.
Right.
More and more people want a much longer cocktail.
Okay.
And then a shorter meal time. Because they realise that during the cocktail is where the mingling happens.
Yes.
Whereas once you're seated, you're seated.
I actually went to a wedding recently, and they decided to do the speeches before the dinner in the Rose Garden, and I thought that was quite refreshing, so that no one's nervous throughout the dinner to give their speech afterwards. So that could be something.
That's also, you know, with the amount of people that are wanting to do speeches, you also have to like slot them in. And I'm a big believer of, okay, well, we can have some during the cocktail and we can space them out throughout the meal. Because, you know, if you sit people down and then you have all of the speeches and everybody's just waiting for food, it's just, people start to get
rumbling.
But also people's attention span is only a few minutes, especially if they've got alcohol, and you know it's not that long to last. So but and I've been seeing more and more. So some Jewish weddings have the format of, they have the huppah ceremony, then they have cocktail, then they have a dance, then they have the starter, then they have a dance, then they have the main, then they have a dance, then they have dessert, and then they have the dance.
Up and down.
Yes. But I'm also starting to see non-Jewish couples do that. And I will say it is a heck of a party.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it depends what vibe, you know, you want, but if you have the right band and the right DJ, I mean, it's literally a night-long party and you're just sitting down to fuel your body to keep going. So it's a different way of looking at it, but I think there's no right or wrong. And, you know, as couples, you should do what feels right for you. But yeah, I think there's some interesting trends and different feels that are emerging.
Oh, it's exciting. Bring on 2023.
I
mean, we're
know.
still not at New Year yet, but there's lots of exciting things in store, including your beautiful baby to come.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming in today and chatting with us,
Thank you.
Charlotte. It's honestly been such a pleasure to chat with you. And we hope to see you again soon. So
Yeah,
thank you.
definitely.
I hope you all enjoyed it.
Thank you.